and welcome to the Knit Sip Happy podcast. My name is Nancy and I'm coming to you from Moncton, New Brunswick on the east coast of Canada. How are you? Today is Sunday. For me, it's Sunday, January 22nd. It's been a fabulous Sunday so far, so I thought I'd hop on and have a chat with you guys as well. I went out to La Violette with my friend Deborah. Yarn Indulgences this morning, this afternoon, I should say, we had a great visit with Manon, did some shopping and some chatting, and I just wanted to carry on with the knitty love and come and hang out with you guys for a while. So I am drinking today, you can see my ring light, Cab Merlot, a whiskey barrel aged Cabernet Merlot. Lovely. It has been almost 3 weeks since I was here chatting with you last. It's been a busy start to January, back to work and all of that. And I've got a busy couple of weeks coming up, so I wanted to hop on now, have a little chat, and then I can kind of skip over some of the busy things that are coming and then come see you guys in early February. So I'll give you an update on the knit along because I know the knit along is ending on January 31st. So when I come back to see you at the beginning of February, I will announce a winner then. We'll talk more about that knit along as we go. I should tell you where you can find me. I am Knit Sip Happy on Instagram and Ravelry. I will have all of the links down below and the best way to contact me. I will also have show notes down there talking about all of the projects, and they'll be linked back to my Ravelry pages. If you're not a Ravelry user, please feel free just to email me and I'd be happy to give you all the details of my projects and point you in the right direction. Okay. Have I done what I'm supposed to do? Have I said what I'm supposed to say to you? Feels like 3 weeks feels a little rusty, but maybe I say that all the time. Okay, so I'm looking out the window. It is clouding over rapidly. We've had some very yuck, winter weather. It's January in Canada. Last week was a freezing rain, snow extravaganza with lots of ice. This week we are getting snow. We had some snow Friday into Saturday, and tomorrow we're expecting a nice big one of about 25 to 35 centimeters of snow. It's a Monday, which for me is a home day, thankfully. Our business is closed on Mondays, so I will be home knitting. I have big plans tomorrow. Hopefully I can get this edited and uploaded tonight so I can have a knit extravaganza tomorrow on the snow day. So, what I'm wearing and the kickoff for finished objects. If you've been here the last couple of episodes, you will have seen me knitting on my winter white Ranunculus. And it is done. I have it on. I've worn it. This is my second time wearing it. I'm going to stand up and give you a little tour, so to speak. I try to push back a little bit. I might have to move my chair. Yes, I am going to have to move my chair. Okay. So I'm wearing this with a tank top underneath today just because it's a minus holy crap out there today. And I just felt like I needed an extra layer, but I'd be quite comfortable wearing this without an undershirt, just with my bra on underneath. Wouldn't bother me at all. The lace panel isn't too revealing. So I knit the size 4. According to pattern on the size 6mm needles. The pattern does suggest more ease. I can't remember if I talked about this last time or not. I prefer a little less ease. I don't need the illusion of more me underneath this. So I did a little closer to my body size, and then I did some hip increases down the side to accommodate my pear shape, as you can see. So the narrowest part of me is around here. So after I reach that point, I just start doing some hip increases down those side seams. The easiest way to accomplish that, even if you're not sure, hang on, I'll come back to that. So I did some sleeve modifications. I just, no decreases all the way down. I did 2 rounds of rapid decreases and then rib. I talked about this last time as well. I don't like the I-cord because then I can't pull my sleeves up. This way, if I get warm or if I'm at work and I need to get away from red wine and a cream sweater, then I can pull it up and hopefully not splatter myself with red wine. I worked one day with this week and thought, ooh, I'm living on the edge. Red wine and a cream sweater. Okay, I'm going to sit back down. I think you've had a good look at it. I've got some finished object pictures on Instagram as well. Am I in the right place? Or I'm going to look at the camera. Does that mean I get a drink? That must mean I get a drink. Okay, I think I look like I'm okay. So yes, modifications were the sleeves, the hip increases. So I get a lot of feedback on this as far as changing the shape of your sweaters. If you're not sure if you're going to need to or want to, when I pick up the body, when you do the added stitches, I always put a stitch marker in the middle of those stitches on each side. So I end up with 2 stitch markers running directly down the sides of my sweater all the time. Even if I don't think I'm going to put hip increases in there. I always do that just in case when I do my try on and I feel like I need a little more room, those stitch markers are there right at the side seam, and I can add those hip increases in if I feel like I need to. If I ever don't put them in, that will be the time that I feel like I need them, and then I have to count stitches and try to find that side seam on the side of the sweater. So automatically now on all of my sweaters, whether it calls for it or not, whether I think I'm going to need it or not, I always put in stitch markers on the center of your body pickup that you do underneath the arm of your sweater. Just a hint, if anybody's interested and has a similar shape to me or feels like you may need to customize your sweater a little more on the bottom half, those side seam stitch markers are awesome. And all I do is I'll do a make one left, make one right on each side of those stitch markers. And that just gives me, I increase 4 stitches per round, usually about 1 inch apart. I think I did 3 or 4 sets on this. Again, just to give me the space that it just fits. This is the joy of making our own things. We get to, I'm getting a little closer. I'm getting excited. I'm getting a little closer to the camera. Back up. Calm down. Okay, so we can customize our knits the way we want to. And there's power in that. There's power and a real sense of satisfaction in being able to make things fit the way you want them to fit, which you can't necessarily do when you buy sweaters or clothes in general at stores. I don't sew. I don't think I'll ever sew, but that would be something I'd be interested in if I ever was to pick up another hobby, because again, that customization and being able to fit my body, which doesn't seem to necessarily be reflected in ready-to-wear fashion a lot of the times, especially these days as the super skinny low-rise jeans are coming back. It's like, hello, we have butts, we have hips, we have curves. They don't fit anybody unless you're a waif. I digress. Okay, moving on. My Winter White Ranunculus is done. I love it. It's nice and light, but it's very warm. The roving mohair combination is lovely. When I put it on, I feel a little prickle, but then it warms up to my body temperature and it's super comfortable. I wore it with a t-shirt one day, and today, like I said, I'm wearing it just with a tank top, just for an extra layer of warmth. I have a few other finished things. I don't have many whips because I've finished a lot of things. Does anybody else do this? I find I tend to go in chunks. I start a whole bunch of things. I finish a whole bunch of things. I start a whole bunch of things. I tend not to have lots ongoing. It just tends to work that way for me, I guess. I'm going to move on to another garment, but this one isn't for me. I think I showed this on the last podcast. This is going to be, it's on blocking, the blocking mat. and I'm gonna lift it up. It's my daughter Samantha's Stockholm slipover. And let me see how this is gonna work. Because she's a wee person, it fits on one 24 by 24 blocking mat. Isn't that handy? So I've just lightly pinned the top and at the underarm. I haven't pinned anywhere else. So I finished this last night and I got it blocking this morning. I did the sewn tubular bind off on all of the edges. I just love the way it looks, and I actually really enjoy doing it too. Doing it with mohair is not necessarily my favorite. The color, the green blocking mat is blowing the color out on the Stockholm slipover. I'll show you the actual yarns in just a second. So this is mohair held with, hang on, I'm just gonna step out of the camera. It is Drops Kid Silk Mohair held double with Holst Coast. This is olive, and this is shade 34. So that's the size large. I didn't quite get gauge with these two thin yarns, so I had to knit the size large to get probably more like a medium to large size to fit her. I had measured, she had tried on my Stockholm slipover, the last one that I showed you in the pink and gray mohair combo, and she decided she needed it a little bit smaller and a little bit shorter. She is a little more petite than I am. So that is done, and she's excited to get it. Not sure when we're going to meet up. She's in Fredericton, as I said before. She's been an hour and 45 minutes away from where I live in Moncton. My other finished objects, I was about to say they're all socks. They're not, but let's do the socks first. First ones are my Let's Stay Home socks. They are both done. Love them. This is in the Creative Knitter colorway sock set, all booked up. And it's just beautiful. Pinks and blues and greens. And then that great, easy cable stitch running down the front. So I'm just going to mention this really quickly. I'm going to do a design chat section later, but this is my pattern called Let's Stay Home. It was a free download forever, but I released it just before Christmas as a thank you for everybody's kindness and support my first year designing, which was in 2022. So these are finished. They're for me. I love them. I haven't worn them yet because I wanted to keep them pretty for the podcast, but they will be going into my sock stash to wear. Because the ones that I knit back here, the ones that I knit, I don't wear my samples that I design. I want to keep them pretty in case I need to do more pictures or whatever. So yeah, I have to, if I want to wear my designs, I have to knit myself another pair. So Let's Stay Home socks. Staying on that theme, I also did Smoke Gets in Your Eyes socks. This was as another one of my patterns. I had showed you this as a whip last time. So this is using Belfast Mini Mills, their something sock base, I can't remember. And I put the yarn away in two colors. I love this periwinkle blue, and then the contrast color has got lots of colors. It's really heathered. Yeah, you can see it right there. Really heathered, which I liked. So, but I ran low on yarn. So I started striping in the contrast color and then did one more stitch repeat with the pattern in the charcoal and then went into the toe. So, I have to say, I don't think I would buy this yarn again. It's lovely and soft to work with, and the feel of it is great. The knitting of it was not a very pleasurable experience. It was very thick, thin. It was underspun in a lot of places. And I was splitting the yarn frequently using my Haya steel, not my sharps, sock needles. So the knitting experience wasn't fantastic. I'll be interested to see how they wear. These are also going into my sock rotation because they're not a sample pair. They are a pair for me. I'll be curious to see how they wear. I'm concerned about some of the yarn and spots. We'll see. It's made a nice pair of socks, and I'm reserving judgment on the rest of it for now. Oh, I have another pair of socks that I finished since I was here last time, and I'll put a picture up here. They were the black gray scale ones that I was doing for my dad. I used the Let's Stay Home Socks pattern. I gave them to him. I asked my mum a few days later if he liked them because he hadn't said anything, if they were comfortable, and he doesn't like them. I've knit him hand knit socks before, and it's an ongoing issue, so and not being mean, but I'm not knitting him any more hand knit pair of socks. My mum is actually wearing them. I knit them a little narrower but longer, but the way her foot works, she's wider and shorter, it works, and they fit her and she loves them. So she is wearing the Let's Stay Home socks, so we'll call it a win. But note to myself, I'm not knitting my dad any more socks. So that's the third pair of socks I finished since I've seen you last. And the fourth pair of socks since I've seen you last is the shorty pair of Tea with the Bridgerton socks. I showed you my finished pair last episode. We'll take that as an excuse to slow down and have a sip. Lovely. And I grabbed this Shorefoot sock yarn out of my stash in this variegated pink. Thought it went well with the colors. So this was an Advent skein from Area 51 yarns, Area 51 fibers. It was a 24 stripe, but it actually repeated twice. So I managed to get Samantha a pair of shorties. She does not have the full 24. I never even counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. She's got 19. So she has 19 and I have 29. Does that make sense? Oh dear, that doesn't sound like the right math. Anyway, we'll carry on. And I'm still experimenting. I don't know. Hang on, I'm just going to put one sock down. I had mentioned that my wide feet high instep do not do well with afterthought heels, short row heels. So I was experimenting with inserting a short row gusset into an afterthought heel. So that's what I've done. So I can't remember if I mentioned this on the last one. I'll go real quick. I'm going to be writing this up into a stripy sock pattern at some point in 2023. So basically I have inserted this right here is a triangular gusset that I've created using German short rows along the edge here and just work back and forth to build up some extra fabric in here. I'm currently wearing 2 pairs of socks that I've done this technique with, and I'm finding that the heel stays put. It's not sliding around in my boot or my shoe. The instep stitches across the front of the sock. When I just do a regular afterthought or short row heel, they get really stretched out across from here. So that seems to have solved that problem as well. So these are for my daughter who has similarly shaped feet to me. So I'll be curious to get her feedback on this as well. But like I said, I don't know when I'm going to see her. Winter time, I'm not a fan of driving in the winter anyway. And we work until 4 on Saturdays. And so it's dark by the time we would get there, and there's moose and deer on the roads. I'm not real keen on any of those things. So until the days get a smidge longer, we won't be going up to see them because I don't want to go on a Saturday after work. And then they only have Sunday off. So anyway, I digress again. Yeah, so that's my pile of socks that I managed to complete. 2 for me, 1 for Sam, and 1 you had a picture of that was from we're now calling them for my mom. Where am I going to put these? Hang on. Okay. The other thing I have finished and not blocked. I'll be interested to hear your feedback on this one. When I released the Let's Stay Home socks, I think I'd mentioned I got to the Hot Right Now. I got to number 2 on the Hot Right Now. The knit item that was number 1 and staying solid was called the Simple One, the Simple Thing. I'll put it on the screen. It'll be linked below in Ravelry. It is a shallow triangle, garter stitch, I-cord edged shawl or scarf. Looking decidedly like Sophie by the Petite Knitter. This is not Sophie. This is by, I think her name is Melina Brell. It's a garter version of a stockinette version that she had published a couple of years ago, from my understanding. So I had put it in my library, and I wanted to do something fun with Hand-spun that was simple and I didn't have to worry about yardage. So I grabbed this. Is it too similar to Sophie? Should it not have been released as a pattern on its own? It's tricky in the world of Ravelry and knits. I don't own the Sophie patterns. I don't know what the decreases and increases are. I don't know how big the I-cord edge is as far as stitch counts. So I don't know how actually similar it is. It looks pretty similar in the finished object. So it's I-cord edging down both sides and then just increasing down one side until you get to a certain point. And I just weighed my yarn and started decreasing and then went all the way back. As I said, the ends have been woven in, but I have not blocked this yet. I don't want to block it too much because garter does have lovely springy squishiness. This is using a hand-spun. The fiber was from Good Vibrations in St. John. I believe it is a merino tussa silk blend. I was part of their mystery fiber club in 2020. And when it comes to knitting, I document all of my projects on Ravelry, all my knitted projects, really detailed, needle size, pictures, day I start. My spinning, I don't keep track of it. I don't keep track of when I start, when I finish. I try to keep the tag with finished yarn, but this was fairly early in my spinning. I think I'd been spinning less than a year when I spun this, and I can't find the tag. It wasn't with the yarn. But I do know it was Good Vibrations. I do know that there is silk content. And I had 140 grams, I think. So I knew that this would make a nice size, small shawl or scarf, basically. So I will block this. It will get tucked away and be put with my gift knits. If I need something quick and easy for a birthday or maybe for next Christmas, we'll see. So, yeah, I said it feels a little cheeky because it feels like the Sophie scarf / shawl, and I didn't pay for that. I got this pattern for free on Ravelry. That's what I did. Draw your own conclusions. Make your own decisions. Life is too short. We can knit what we want, right? So that's it for finished objects. For now. I'll show you another one a little later. We're going to slide into whips. And like I said, it's pretty thin on the ground for the whips. I've got 3 sitting here and a 4th one about to hop on my needles. Like I said, tomorrow, maybe tonight. Depends how much wine I drink. So, first one I'm going to show you is in my Nancy's Socks bag from Studio Britta with the beautiful patchwork back, which, if I showed you the yarn last time, was just the perfect match to my bag. So this is a sock blank from Sweet Skein of Mine, Amanda, in her merino sock, and I have something that shouldn't be in that bag that I just threw out. I have one ravishing sock finished. Let me grab a blocker because that looks like a dishcloth. Okay, let's try this again. So Ravishing Sock is one of my designs, and again, I don't have a pair to wear. I have knit them as gifts, and I have my sample pair for the sock design. Actually, I don't even have the pair. I knit the pair, and I sent one to Kim from Ginger Snap in their, because it was their Ravishing yarn. So I sent them one to use as a demo, and I kept one to use for my pictures. So it has a twisted rib, a little bit of lace pattern running down each side of the leg and foot, and then on the back there's just a twisted rib panel, kind of, yeah. So I've knit the first one. Oh, I love knitting with sock blanks. Look how fun that is. It's just fun to see the yarn knit up. I love it, love it, love it. So that is number one. And number two, I turn, hang on. So this is the sock blank. Oops, sorry, that was the sock and the sock blocker hitting the floor. This is the sock blank that I have left, and I'm knitting this on my 2.25 millimeter Chaogun 9-inch circulars. And I have turned the heel. I've just finished the gusset decreases, and I am working down the foot. This one's coming up quite micro stripey. Yeah, so much fun. It's just a joy to knit when each stitch and every few stitches is a different color or different, but still quite cohesive. Yeah, if you haven't tried a sock blank before, I highly recommend it. The yarn, yes, it is crinkly when it comes off, but it doesn't affect my gauge, and when you wash it, the crinkle goes away. It's just the memory of it being knit up into the fabric. Spring. So that is one whip. I'll just throw this on the floor with the one that's on the blocker so I know where it is later on. The other thing I picked up, I showed you this on my whip roundup last episode. This is in my bag from Donna. All kinds of fun wine sayings, so of course I had to have it. But it's a great bag, nice sturdy zipper, lined, lots of pockets is in there. So in here is my Cargill cowl, and I've finally put into use my little donut stitch stoppers because I'm working on a 16-inch circular, and this is quite snug. These stitches like to try and pop off the end if you don't have the stitch stoppers on. So I'm knitting this in Holstgarn Coast again, in Fairy, and then this is the Holst Titicaca. Do I have that color in here? I've got lots of tags. No, I think I went through this last time. So these two held together. I had knit a cardigan for my daughter in this combination, and I had leftovers, so I thought it would make a great Cargill cowl. I will have the project page linked down below, so if you're interested in the color of the alpaca that I'm holding with it, you'll be able to look there. So I was only about here. I didn't put a stitch marker in, so I've done a good few repeats on this. It's this great squishy dip stitch pattern. This is my second one. I've already knit one of these in my summer fall of the cowl that I had last year. I was knitting a lot of cowls. So I'm not going to knit this. The pattern has it knit quite long, and in the picture she has it folded down. I think I'm probably only going to knit maybe another 1.5 to 2 inches, maybe another inch, do the ribbing, because I think by the time you block that out, I think that's plenty long enough without it having to be folded over or fussed around with. I will have lots of yarn left, so I don't know, I may knit, maybe I'll knit a hat and give it to somebody as a pair. I don't know, but this was on my needles from the fall, and I wanted to get it finished and off my needles, blocked and tucked away for the gifts. That is that one. And then I had a brilliant idea. I had a brilliant idea last night. after I'd had a couple of glasses of liquid inspiration. And I have part skeins of, or scraps or leftovers of all of my designs that I've knit. And short of putting them in blankets or whatever, which I probably still will, I'm going to be knitting, they're called, the pattern is free on Ravelry. They're called nano socks. I'll put a picture in here because this doesn't really look like much yet. So in this bag that I won from Tracy, who was Comfy Red Couch, but is now knitting on the float, I knit along a few years ago, and this lovely bag was part of the prize. I have got in here all of the scraps and leftovers of my sock designs, and I'm going to knit little nano socks, these teeny tiny little socks as Christmas ornaments, and I'm going to make a garland. So you can see I'm knitting them 2 at a time. The pattern is toe up because it has a great I-cord loop. You'll have seen, I'll put a picture. So this is Walk This Way from Sweet Skein of Mine that I knit my Freddie Beach. And this is, oh my goodness, I forget the name. This was for my garden fence socks from Yarn Indulgences for BFL sock. I can't remember the colorway name. So I do some modifications to this pattern because it's only designed to be 20 stitches around, which I just found too skinny and too hard to deal with. So I increase a little more. I'll have my project page linked below with all of my modifications. So I am going to be doing that. This is Ravishing. I can't show you that one. That one's still a secret. This is from By the Shore. This is Let's Stay Home. I've got a teeny tiny scrap of Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. I didn't think I had any, but I found this little nugget in my blanket bag. So I pulled that out because I can knit a little sock out of that quite easily. So this is, I'm not going to race through them. Well, I might. I might. We'll see how addictive they are. But this is a super fun little pattern just to knit little sock ornaments. They would be great for an advent calendar because you can put a little something in them, a candy cane or a candy, and then just hang them up either on a board, or I've got a piece of cording with clothes pegs on to make a little garland. So at Christmas time, I will hang it up out in my living room. For the rest of the year, I might do something. I'm lacking. I need some background, something there. So I may hang them up there. But that is a brand new project that I just started. And it's going to be lots of little ones. I'll probably show you as I go along, as I finish them, so you can see what they look like in real life, I guess. The next thing that I'm very cheekily including in my whips is in a bag and ready to go. I'm casting on tonight, and it's going to look very familiar. It is this yarn combination. It is the Briggs and Little Roving. Remember I told you that I had to pick up a whole brand new plate of this roving because I didn't have quite enough to finish my sweater. I did that. Oh, and I took footage of me separating it. I will put it in. Whoop! I'll put it in somewhere in the video. I may be putting it in, well, yeah, I don't know. It'll be in somewhere. I will speed it up because it took me 45 minutes. I'm casting on another sweater. This one is going to be for my daughter. Okay, let me just carry on. This is going to be for my daughter. I'm going to do the Turtle Dove 2. I did a search on Ravelry for 16 stitch gauge garments, and Her and I had a look at a couple of them online, and we chose Turtle Dove. I'm going to modify it like I modified mine when I did mine way back. I'll put a picture here. I'm not a fan of the raglan ending down at my boob, so I did some modifications and brought the raglan up. It's a free pattern on Ravelry from Miss Bastry Co. It's awesome. A bazillion people have made it. I did mine in Drops Air, which is the called for yarn, but I thought this yarn combo would also work for it. And she's super excited about it. I'm excited to get started. I will keep you up to date as I'm knitting it. I had mentioned last time, and thank you for all of your kind comments, we're all feeling a little more squished into our clothes, pleasantly plump after the holidays. Lots of people reached out in the comments and said they felt the same, and I was talking about my orbits not fitting and not wanting to knit it. When I'm at this phase, I tend to knit garments for myself less because I don't know how they're going to fit once I lose some of the Christmas shenanigans. November, December, Christmas, just calling it Christmas shenanigans is a complete lie. I did gain weight last year, and I would like to get that weight back off because I'm happier when it's not on me. I'm healthy either way, but it's totally a me decision. The upside of this for my daughter is I still want to knit garments, but not knowing sizing. I don't want to knit them for me, so she gets garments. So she's very excited about this. I possibly have one more planned for her. We're still talking about that. Turtle Dove 2, gonna knit for my daughter. I'm probably gonna knit it in the smallest size just for less ease because I'm gonna have to tweak those raglan increases a little bit. And she doesn't really want 16 to 18 inches of positive ease, which is written into that pattern. So yeah, that's hopping on my needles tonight. So I'm considering it to be a whip while I'm here talking to you. And all right, I'm just looking down at my notes. I'm sorry. So rude. Have a drink, have a reset, let my brain catch up with my mouth. And we had talked, I mentioned briefly, the Let's Stay Home socks. They're over my shoulder. There is a knit along going on in Instagram with the hashtag Let's Stay Home Socks Cal. Tag all of your posts because I am entering all of the posts in for this giveaway. You don't have to finish your socks. Show us your yarn. Show that you've cast on. If you have a finished pair or a finished sock, awesome. Well done, you. There's been quite a few. I'm loving looking at the hashtag on Instagram and sharing pictures. And yeah, it's been a real joy for me over the last few weeks to see this. One thing I do want to mention again, if you are not on Instagram and are knitting the Let's Stay Home socks and want to participate in the Cal, which I would really encourage you to do, send me an email at the address that's listed below, and I will enter you into the draw. I will total up I'll do some kind of, I haven't figured that out yet, spreadsheety something, number all the posts, and I'll figure it out. Because the prize is the lovely sock set from the Creative Knitter. This is the yarn that I used to design and knit the socks. It's called, oops, I will remove my hair. You won't get my hair with it. Let's Stay Home Socks. And this is her sock set, her 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And it's lovely. So that's the prize. So please enter either on Instagram or send me an email with, it doesn't have to be a finished pair. Everything I've had so far has been finished pairs, and well done to all of you for that. But it doesn't have to be. Okay, so that's the knit along. I have a little spinning to show you. My wheel, my Dreaming Robots electric eel wheel, my number 6, my big boy. I have just finished plying That's a little blown out. This is the fiber that I showed you that I got from Belfast Mini Mills. It's called St. Peter's Bay, which is a beautiful spot in Prince Edward Island. This was a merino mohair blend. I've done it as a 2-ply. I said it's not quite that royal blue. It's a little more. This is better for the color, but I wanted you to kind of see the twist. So I just finished this. It needs to come off and be washed and set. So that might happen tomorrow on my snow day. Or I might just sit on the couch and knit all day. We'll see. The world is my oyster tomorrow. And then I have to go into this thing in the corner that holds all of my hand spun on the bottom shelf, and the top shelf is my fiber. I need to pick something out for a new spin. As I've said before, I'm not a technical spinner. I don't usually spin with intent. I just grab something that gives me joy in the minute and start spinning it, and then at that point decide if it's looking like it's going to be a nice thin enough to do a 3-ply, or it's coming up a little bit thicker and it'll be a 2-ply. That's just, I do it for joy and not so much for the technical. I'm not ever going to be one to tell you grist and wraps per inches, and that's not my jam. So that's what I have for spinning. We're going to hop into some, lost the plot, design chat. That's where I'm going. So last time I had showed you the yarn from Sweet Skein of mine called Into the Woods. I hadn't started. I have now finished a pair. So I'm going to see if I can't get this to show up on the camera. So this beautiful skein was inspired. I showed you the inspiration pictures last time, and I have since been up into the woods behind our house on a beautiful sunny day with fresh snow in the trees. I'll insert that footage at the end. But this yarn totally captures the vibes that I was looking for. So these socks are now in testing, and I'm looking at a beginning of February 6th or 7th release date, I do believe. I was hoping for a little closer to the beginning of February, but I have to have a colonoscopy on January 30th. Wah, wah. I've been avoiding it for a while, but I need to get it done. I'm at that age. And when they called a couple of weeks ago and said we'd like to schedule an appointment. I said, okay. So I'm thinking, it's our healthcare system, right? I'm thinking May, June, April. Next Monday was what she offered me. I'm like, no. I'm not emotionally or mentally prepared for that process. I need to psych myself up. So I took January 30th, which is still a little closer than I would like to think that it is. The procedure itself doesn't bother me. It's the prep. It's the nasty concoction that you have to drink. Yeah, I'll say no more. Anyway, so I've had to push this back because I won't feel up to podcasting, and I won't feel up to all the Ravelry shenanigans to get the pattern out, and the social media, the Instagram posts and shares and all the stuff that I do to support my patterns. So I decided to push it a week. So we're looking at February 6th or 7th. These are called the Wintery Woods Socks. And they have got a little lifted stitch pine tree motif running down there with a broken rib section with some purl stitches that, for me, it's walking the trails in the winter and the beautiful trees and the blue skies and the pine boughs. And this was the inspiration for this pair of socks. And I love them. Love them a lot. So the back of the sock just has one pine tree trail running up the back center, and then the front panel. So this is my typical formula for socks. I like them fairly easy with a good balance of stockinettes and plain knitting rows. but I like a rhythm to it. I like a bit of meditative, one more round, one more round, one more repeat. My testers are telling me that that's the vibe they're getting, so I am thrilled. The other big thing with this pattern, they are knit toe up. So I had mentioned last time I was going to have to do them toe up, probably, if I had to do them toe up, because otherwise the pine trees would not look like pine trees. They would look like arrows pointing down. So this stitch motif must be done this way to get the slip stitches to orient, or I guess the float that you're running across the front, to get it to orient correctly. So this was knit toe up with a heel flap, with a gusset, heel turn, and flap. And the fit is amazing. Again, wide feet, high instep. If typical short row heels do not fit you, if afterthought heels do not fit you, and you love a heel flap and gusset, this is where you need to be going. You need to find a great toe up pattern that will give you all of those. And I think this is it. My testers are working through it now. I've got people who've never done toe up before, so they're starting from scratch on the cast on all the way up. And there have been no issues so far. There is video tutorial support through the different sections that are most challenging if you've never done it before. It's nice just to be able to see it. The written instructions are, complete, but it is, if you're a visual learner, it is nice to see what different stages of this process look like, because it is a little different than what you would do cuff down, obviously, because you're reversing the process. What else? I am still pondering. I always do the first week of my sock launches are a charity donation for the first 7 days. I haven't decided yet what's going to be, and I've got a couple weeks to decide. But Wintery Woods Socks, I'll put the hashtag on the screen. You can look at the hashtag and see what my testers are doing, what yarns they're using. They've got some fabulous choices. I've got a great group working with me through this pattern, and like I said, they've started posting on Instagram with the hashtag, so you'll be able to see what theirs look like. And I'll be here the week the pattern launches just to kind of give you all the details at that point. Last thing, well, I got two more things in for design chat. Knit City Montreal is happening again this year. They're pushing it back. Last year it was the last weekend of March into the first of April. This year they're pushing it back due to availability at the Sheraton. Yeah, the Sheraton downtown. We are now going to be there the Victoria Day weekend in May. So that's the fourth Monday. It's the 20-something. And I will be there with Deborah at the Yarn Indulgences booth. I will be doing a custom design for her. I don't have the yarn yet to show you, but I already know what the design is going to be. It's going to be on her sock marl, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So she's dyeing that yarn up for me over the next couple of weeks so I can get started there. The other thing, Ginger Snap, Kim and Colin from Ginger Snap, I had done a sock design for them for Knit City in Vancouver. That was the Ravishing socks. They sent me the yarn, Ravish, and I came up with the Ravishing socks. And Kim reached out to me and asked me, I feel the need to get closer to you. Kim reached out to me a few weeks ago and asked me if I would be interested in collaborating with them again. They're going to have a fabric line to make bags and a yarn line to go with it. And it's a beautiful, I've seen the fabric briefly. It's a beautiful floral fabric because we're going to be in the height of spring in Eastern Canada. It comes a little later to us when it takes a while for the snow to melt and to be able to get the flowers. But it's a beautiful floral fabric. And something just came into my head, and the socks are going to be called the Blooming Lovely socks. It's to go with the floral motif. I grew up in the UK, and Bloomin' lovely was a term that is used quite frequently. Well, it was when I was a youngster, and a lot of the older folks, it was bloomin' lovely. So that's what I thought of. And then Kim sent me the yarn, and it is called Blooming. We'll appreciate the beauty of the yarn in just a second when I finish telling you this fabulous story. Whew, I'm getting a little red. This very warm sweater and red wine. I need to talk faster. No, I don't. Probably talking fast enough. I messaged Kim and said, had we talked about the name of the pattern, the name that I'd come up with? Did you tell me what the name of the yarn was? I looked back through our chats on Instagram and I couldn't see anything. And she said, no, we didn't. And I said to her, I said, well, I just got the yarn. And A, it's gorgeous, but B, you've called it Blooming. I've already got the pattern setting my draft copy in Ravelry called Blooming Lovely. We had a good chuckle over that. I couldn't believe it, because now that to me, it means it's a sign. It's meant to be. And Kim and Colin reached out to me and asked me if I would mind if they called the whole collection Blooming Lovely. And I am thrilled to say this yarn, my tag says Blooming. If you pick it up at Knit City Montreal, or are lucky enough to get some online after the event, it will be called Blooming Lovely. And isn't it blooming lovely? This is their Lush fingering. It's a 2-ply, 75-25 superwash merino nylon. It's a beautiful pale pink with darker pink sections and then the most lovely speckles. So this is going to be something lacy and pretty and summery, and yeah. So that is going to have to get wound up soon. Maybe this week, maybe next, we'll see. I have some things, some ideas that I need to see how they work when I actually put them in yarn form. So yeah, I'll have 2 designs at Knit City Montreal that will be exclusive to the yarn dyers for the first couple of weeks. And then I will be able to sell it to you guys in general, like I always do on Ravelry. So I will be keeping you updated. Less on the pattern. I'll be able to show you what it looks like in Stockinette, but I'm not going to, we keep the pattern secret until Knit City Montreal, so that the people who are attending the show get to see it first. So that is everything except for acquisitions. As I said earlier, I had a lovely day. Deborah and I drove out to Bucktou, which is about 40 minutes away from me here at home, and we spent a couple hours with Manon, and I wasn't buying yarn. I wasn't. I had some nice, I'll show you what I had. I wasn't buying yarn. I picked up a cute little Brick Bubble Progress Keeper. I will survive. Yes, I will survive. And that is going to go on. I'm going to clip this onto this prize skein of the Let's Stay Home socks, and this will be part of the prize that goes out to the winner for the knit along. So I'll leave them together. I wanted some, I'm having to dig underneath the yarn that I wasn't going to buy. I wanted some tags for the backs of sweaters. I have the little fold over ones that go on the hems of hats, and I could put it on the hem of the bottom of the hem of the sweater, I guess. But it's nice. I would like to have this on my sweaters, especially when they have short rows. There is a back and a front, and sometimes they look a little the same, and it's a bit of a faff trying to lay them out and trying to figure out which is the lower part. So I wanted to pick up some of these. These are also Brick Bubble. This was all I had. And then I was sitting, we were sitting and knitting and chatting, I was staring at the wall with the Sadness Garn, the Sunday, Double Sunday, and the mohair. And this navy blue is calling my name. It did call my name very loudly. Do I have a color on here? It is color 6081. So this is the Tin Silk Mohair. I have 6 balls. And I'll tell you my thought process. So last time I was at La Violette, I showed you this plate of roving, which is this hunter green, teal petrol-y. It's a little, that's a little closer. I thought with this, oh, that's blowing out. It's way navier. Yeah, that's better. Does this not make you think of like plaid or tartan with the dark blues and the dark greens? So my plan is sweater, no idea. No idea when I'm knitting it, but there were 6 skeins of this gorgeous mohair, and this together I thought would be pretty scrumptious combination. So I bought them. 6 of those to go with this that I already own. And then Manon had a clearance shelf. So I picked up Queensland Collection Shetland Light. It is a fingering weight. Actually, it's lighter than a fingering weight. It's 315 yards for 50 grams. Again, not quite, that's better. And I thought worst case scenario, if I had leftovers of this after my sweater, 6 skeins, I don't know what I'm knitting, so I don't know if I will, but ooh, that would go nicely. So really, I'm just saving, I'm making sure I use all of my mohair by including this. It's the lies we tell ourselves, folks. And then the other thing on the clearance shelf that I didn't think I could leave at home is this Mirasol. It is so soft. It's 64% viscose and 36 baby alpaca. So the viscose is the kind of shiny metallic on the inside, and the alpaca is the burgundy fluff. So the viscose kind of looks like a really cool pinky gray, lavendery mauve, something like that. And then this burgundy alpaca on the top. It was on the clearance shelf. It is 75 grams for 405 meters. Part of me is thinking holding it double, I'm making a cowl or a hat held double. But it was lonely on the sale shelf, so I thought I had to bring it home. So I did. So that was what I got at La Violette today. And then I think I had mentioned last time that I was here, I had placed a Knit Picks order, and I don't think it had come in yet. Had it? Oh, now I'm doubting myself and I didn't check my notes. Acquisitions with a blank line. It's very helpful, isn't it? That's my notes from my last show notes. I'm going to whip through them. I don't know if I showed you these or not, and if I did, I apologize. I got, oh, now I'm saying this out loud. I think I have Stroll fingering in the Dove Heather, which is why I did the whole order in the first place, because I need more of these to finish my scrappy blanket, my jelly roll blanket. I got, yeah, I think we've talked about this. Sorry, Wool of the Andes Unspun Roving, because I think I said last time, I didn't realize they sold roving. 2 balls of Felici in the Friendly Skies. Again, sorry if I've done this. And Upcycle Alpaca Sport Weight. I got a sweater quantities of this to pair with some Hand-spun. We're just going to slide on past that because I will, if I haven't showed you and you want more details on any of this, let me know. And then one last thing before I melt. It was minus 12 or 14 or something today, so we've kept the heat. We have a wood furnace as well as our heat pumps. We kept the wood in all day. My craft room sometimes gets a little bit cooler, but there's heat coming up through the registers still. This probably isn't helping, but I'm going to keep drinking it anyway because it's delish. I was on Facebook Marketplace looking at plants. I have I like to kill them. I like to grow them. I like to try and keep them alive. And I saw a destash for some indie dyed yarn on Facebook Marketplace for somebody local, which doesn't happen very often around here. So I couldn't say no. I've never had barn yarn knits before. I have loved looking at them on Instagram. So this is Barnyard Knits. The colorway is Hydrangea. This is 75/25 merino nylon. Very pretty. Socks, probably. When? No idea. I got this fabulous, and my hair, excuse me, sock set from Rose Hill Yarns. This is Winter Wonderland, also a 75/25. It's a 100 gram full skein and a 20 gram mini. Thought that was too pretty and totally my colors, so hard to leave behind. This looks like, this looks like an older Rose Hill. It's got a different tag on it. This is called Violet. Ooh, not quite that blue. It's a little greenier, mintier. Colors are blowing out a little bit. But it's got these kind of teal, minty colors with purple slashes and speckles. And oh my goodness, hair. And the last one was Malabrigo sock. This is the older sock base. It has no nylon in it, so this will not be for socks, in the colorway Anniversario. And it's just lovely and squishy and beautiful. But so it will be, don't know, but couldn't leave it behind. No yarns left behind. That's it. That's a shocking amount of yarn to come into my possession again. I'm looking over my shoulder. That's where my stash is. No excuses. Just for joy. It brings me joy. And it will get loved at some point by me or by somebody else. Perhaps. Don't know. All right. I'm getting pinker and pinker as we go along here, my friends. So I am going to, I think, wrap this up and say goodbye. I will put some footage at the end. I will have put the sock parade at the beginning. I promised I would do that again. I've been taking pictures of my socks when I wear them in the mornings before I go out. I'll put a little footage here at the end of my walk through the woods, which is the inspiration for my new sock design. And somewhere in here, I will have put the sped up footage of me winding up that roving to show you how I do it at home with no help and not a yarn butler spinner thing. I just lay it on the floor and go for it. So I wish you happy knitting, happy sipping. Take care, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Cheers.